Hi, Travis with Splunk here. Wanted to create some videos around how does Travis do stuff in Splunk. I've been using Splunk since 2009. Joined Splunk back in 2017, and I really enjoy helping others understand our product and how to get better with it and become more make it more useful. So I thought, what better way but create some videos on how I do stuff. It may not be you know the best way of doing it. There's probably somebody smarter that looks at it and go, "Well, you could do it this way." But this is how I do stuff in Splunk. In this video, I want to talk about field extractions. So I'm going to assume that you've already ingested the data, or you're bringing data into your Splunk environment, and you're looking at it going, "What do I do now?" And that's actually the series. Let's how do we parse the data? I'll probably have another video about how do I actually bring the data in, and then how do I turn it into a report, turn it into dashboards. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. And we're talking about field extractions. And I have a data set here. I was actually working on another project around compliance and understanding, hey, what is being installed on my endpoints? Windows, Linux, Unix, and I decided I want to focus on Linux, Ubuntu, and Debian package log. I do have yum logs coming in. I have a CentOS box, but I'm going to talk about Debian package log. And here is the raw data. I have host, source, and source type, but I don't really have any other fields that I think I should have. And what I mean here is I've got a status, I've got a startup, I've got remove, I have configured, I have installed. I would like to see something over here to help me to be able to create maybe dashboards and visualizations around it. So I'm going to expand this, go to event actions, and use Splunk's internal field extractor. So click extract fields, and bring you to the field extractor here. And this has gotten a lot better since 2009, but it's there's still some limitations, and you'll see that here in a second. I'm going to go regular expression route and not delimited. There is other structured data. It's maybe spaced out by commas or spaces or any kind of special character that you could go delimited route, but I can't with this data set. So I'm going to click next. And in here, you'll see the event that I highlighted or that I selected. And you want to highlight the word. You don't want to double click. And the reason why, if you double click, you may get a space behind the word, and you don't want that. So we're going to make sure we highlight the word. And now we can say, give it whatever field name that you like. I'm going to call it action. And you can see that here we have matching. It's getting what's, from the onset seems like, oh yeah, it's working out great. If I click on non-matches, it matched everything. Well, it's a, I can show you the regular expression, and it's a very simple regex. And let's go back to all events. And what I mean by that, here's startup, and then it grabbed packages. It didn't grab startup. Startup's where I really want, but because status is here, it did grab config, but didn't grab files, which config dash files is all one word. Half dash installed, I want that as all one. So I can already, in Linux, that's part of the package. Maybe we can fix the Linux, or maybe we click on remove, and it's very quick. It'll add it up here, and then I can actually highlight remove. Select the same field name. If you had multiple ones already built, you click the down box there and go. And this is where limitations of our field extraction utility comes in, and it breaks. So at this point, I'm kind of left with, I can try and do something, simpler. Maybe not be, I'm going to remove this field. Maybe I want to go back here to the word status, the whole word status, and then action, and run that extraction. And would I be happy with that? And then try to, match the rest. But, if I I don't want just status because I want half installed and half configured. We can also take the side note. You can take whatever regular expression that Splunk's built here and test it. There's two different ways. We can click view and search, which will open up another search and have it there. But I like to just go back to my original search and pipe rex. And if you've never used the rex command, you're new to Splunk, there's a lot of commands out there. And if you need more help or more information, there's a couple different ways we can go about it. Inside of Splunk, you can see right here I have the word help, and I can go to the page or Splunk documentation to show us the command and all the other commands and examples and whatnot. Or I can click more right here. Now, if you're not getting this kind of information, go up to your username. I'm administrator. Click on preferences and then SPL editor and click on full. You may be on compact for the search assistant. And if you liked when I hit the pipe, it dropped a new line, just check, search auto format. So I'm going to be set on full, hit apply. And so when I hit a pipe, it drops a new line. And now I have more information when I do my different commands. So I'm going to wrap this in quotes, as you will need to wrap it in quotes. And paste what I have in there and hit enter. And yeah, during this video, you're going to get all my little mistakes, me correcting myself. I don't like doing multiple videos or, you mesh them all together. I just do it all in one take. So there, the search is finished, and we can see I have a new field called action, and I can see status, startup, configure, upgrade. I mean, good start. But it's not what I want. And there is another way that we can go and really, fine tune how we're going to extract and be able to parse each one of these events. And that's using the props and transforms. So I'm going to clear this out here. And you could, go back to, Google search and say, okay, Splunk documentation transform, Splunk documentation props.conf. You could go in here and start reading the different, documentation that we have around what props and transforms is. And I'll explain a little bit more here in a second. Here is our transforms, our documentation. We have examples, and then you can come up here and see what all those different pieces mean and what you can do. Same thing with props. Examples and, what does all this stuff really mean? And if you want to take that time or to read all that, more, go at it. So I'm going to close this screen out. And what I want to do now is switch to another screen and show you, from that Splunk add-on for Unix and Linux, you can go out there, download that file, unzip it, and then start reverse engineering, tearing it apart. And this is, what I've already been working on for, this presentation here. But if I go to the props.conf, I open the one that's in the default folder. Side note, do not edit anything in the default folder, especially if you're, live in your environment. You will want to make a copy of the configuration file, the .conf file. Make a copy of props.conf, make a copy of transforms.conf or inputs.conf, and move it to a local folder. For example, I have an inputs.conf file here, and I have it in a local folder. So this is where if I need to make any adjustments or changes to how I'm explaining or how I'm telling my universal forwarders to, what data to send, I go into the local copy. Because if you edit anything in default, it will be overwritten if you do an upgrade. So props, here we have the Splunk Unix, add-on for Unix and Linux props.conf file. I could do, and that's what I did, when I was first figuring out, hey, this isn't helping me with my package log. You know, I brought up a find and then did a search and looked for anything and can't find text. If I do syslog, I mean, it will find, you know, the syslog data there, or it will find the reference to syslog. And that's what the props does. If you have a source or source type, if you want to rename your source, so, or you want to rename the source type, and what I mean by that, let me go back to my Windows, I mean my Chrome here, and if I look at source type, I have, you know, multiple different source types. So going back over here, I can see that, hey, if it's source and it ends with syslog, call it source type equals syslog. And the reason why our app is doing this is if I go back to my inputs.conf file, and if I do a search in here for var log, you can see when I monitor var log, the folder, so you can monitor, you know, to a log file, or you can monitor a folder and say, hey, give me anything that's .log, give me anything that's ends in messages, anything that's auth, and don't send me this information. And there's a couple of different ways. If you want to specify var log, then you could specify your source type there, like here in the bash history, you know, root.bash history, and then this is specified, you know, bash history. So since I am using the add-on, I'm getting all of these. I'm not specifying my source type in my inputs.conf file. So then that's why you have to use a props to look at the, hey, it's this source, rename the source type to syslog, and then look in syslog. The only drawback to this way is any new data this will work for, but any index data that you've already indexed, you have to have some of these settings out on your universal forwarder so it knows that index, you know, when it's sending the data, it's rewriting the source type. So this, or when it first comes into the indexer, it writes the source type. So at search time, I mean, this doesn't help. So if we want to build something at search time, you know, this is where you can instead use, and here's props, and this is what I just explained. You can say, hey, if you see source and it ends at, you know, /dpkg.log, apply these actions to that source. And when you are editing or you're creating this, make sure you only have 3 dots. I accidentally put 4 in, and then I couldn't figure out for like a half an hour why my props and transforms wasn't working. Then I realized I put 4 dots instead of 3. So Splunk is a little sensitive there. And then you see here, you know, dpkg startup. If I highlight that one, you see how it matches up here. You know, installed. It matches, you know, up here, installed. And how did I create all of these? So this is transforms, and this is what, you know, after the props goes, hey, here's a source, go to this report and do these actions. And these actions are going to be, hey, here's a regex pattern for installed. I need this raw event broken up like this. So how did I get, and how did I figure out this regex pattern? Easy. I went to Regex101. So let me switch over to that screen again. And you can come in here and you can grab your event and go to Regex101. You can see I've already copied the event into this Regex101. This is on the web. It's a great utility, especially for people that don't know much about regular expressions. It gives you helpful information, quick references off to the right, and explanations. And I said, okay, I want my first capture group, I want installed. And you can see it says match, but it's not a group. To make it a capture group, we got to put it in parentheses. Wrap it in parentheses, and now it is a group. So then after that is a space, but I don't want that captured. I'm going to put them, space and /s for that. You can look off to the right hand side and see any white space character /s. And now I'm going to have another capture group because I want the package. And I'm going to do a dot. If you just do a dot, it's only going to capture a single character. So, I guess I could put a bunch of dots in there. That's not what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put a dot and a plus. And then I'm going to move out of the capture group. But it captures everything all the way to the end because I haven't, broken it up yet. I can do a / oh wait, got ahead of myself because there is a AMD 64 and there is comma in there. Let's see, a colon in there, not comma. And I'm going to put that there. All right, now I want that AMD. No, I'm not going to type in the word AMD. I'm just going to do a dot plus. And you can skip ahead if you really want. Star, because I'm not going to do this for every one, but I just wanted to show you an example of me capturing one group at least, or one raw event, and show you it wasn't that difficult. And here we can see group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and what it's capturing, and like I said, all the explanations. And once I have that, I can go back to my notepad or whatever you want and start building out this for all the different events. As I can go back to my search, to match the removed, the rematch to half configured, to match the installed. So what do I do when I've got all of this built out? I have how I'm going to match on the source to call out all the functions that I want to do over here, all the matching and parsing. So I'm going to go to my terminal and I'm going to clear. Well, I don't know why I did that, but anyway, you've got to decide where you want to put, or which props and transforms file you want to modify. I have multiple apps, so I have multiple that I can choose from. You can build your own app and put it all in there. Like I have one called Audit. I can go in here into local and I could edit it here or create the file here because I don't have one in here. But if you want it like global, you can create a whole new app. I'll let you decide how you want to do that. I'm going to go back to that Splunk _TA_nix and to make sure I go into local. And in there, if I do I'll just do a VI on the props. You can see that I have a props.conf file and I've already have an entry in there. This is to help if you have an Ubuntu server and you notice that you're not parsing auth.log and you want it to look like syslog. You'll need to push this out to your search heads and you'll need to push this out to your universal forwarders. Like I said, I might go over that in another video. But anyway, I'm going to go back over to my notepad, come back in here, hit I for insert, and I'm going to right click. So now the props will know what to do with source dpkg.log when your search calls it out. I'm going to hit the escape key and then right and quit. So if you don't know VI, there's a lot of tutorials and information out there. Get familiar with it if you're going to be playing with Unix. So VI, there's other ones too, but I've used VI for a while and I've got very comfortable with it. So use whatever editor you're comfortable with. But now I'm going to create the transforms.conf file here. It's blank. I'm going to insert, go back over to my notepad, copy this, and there we go. Escape, that, right and quit, and before I go too much further, I'm going to do an ls-la, lah, whatever, and look at who owns that file. And since I am logged in as root, it did, create the file as root. And what I'm going to do is chown Splunk and give Splunk, because Splunk owns everything else, ownership of this file. Oh, I misspelled chown. Look at me. There we go. I was wondering why it was taking so long. And if I do a clear again and do an ls-la, you can see now Splunk owns this file. So at this point, we should be able to go back to our Splunk search. And you can see here that there's no fields over here except for extraction. It still remembers the last search that we ran. So I'm going to rerun this search, and hopefully it's had enough time to reprocess that. If not, another thing that you can do is remove everything here. That was probably a better way of doing it, and do a debug refresh. And this may take a little bit, but you can refresh all the props and some of the stuff that's in the background. And while that's happening, I also would like to talk about, if you are new to Splunk and you're looking for ways to discover what other people are building, or even this video, I'm going to build some, like I said, dashboards around this data. There's websites out there that you can go to, like gosplunk.com, where this is a repository for queries and dashboards for people to use. You can come in here, and if you want to look up Windows and do a keyword search and find out all the different dashboards or searches that other people in the community, and this is not owned by Splunk, but you can come out here and find other dashboards than research, the reports that people have used. I've actually posted, and this is where I'll have a link to this video eventually out here for this, because I'm going to build a dashboard around this. And you can see I have one for NetFlow activity, Nix logon dashboard. I do put in some information in here about how I got this dashboard to work, and even a YouTube video. I thought I had a YouTube video. I don't have a YouTube video on this one. And guess what I'll be building later on. But here is a documentation and the XML for that data. And another site that you could go to is Splunk Lantern. This is a Splunk supported site where we do have a lot of information out here about different ways and content, of using Splunk. So let's go back to, we can see this is what it'll give you once it's done. And then I'm going to, well, I could have just clicked on search. So let me click search, and then index equals Nix source in, and you can see I already have that right there. Let's say last, well, I can see, do I got anything in the last 24 hours? Yeah, I do. And looky there, there's my fields I wanted. There's action. And I'm getting installed, unpack, configured, startup, upgrade, remove. I'm getting info, which that's interesting. And then I'm also getting version. So if I wanted to, I can say action, installed. And now I can say stats count by, if we want host, and package. Do I call it package or packaged? I did it again. And now I can get a, maybe a better representation of what packages or which host it's being installed. If you don't want the word host, there's other ways that we can start formatting. If I wanted to, let's see here. I'll show you, what is it? List. I can't type with y'all watching me. You know, we can do stuff like this. I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of commands out there to make this, you know, data very useful. I talked about I upgraded Splunk, you know, earlier, so I can say, you know, do a keyword search for Splunk and, you know, open this up to the last 30 days. And then if I want, there's the actions. I can say, you know, upgrade, and then, you know, stats, count by, and off to the left-hand side, we can see some of the fields. I've got some of them covered up to where I can say host, and then package version underscore old, version underscore new, run that. If you don't like version old and version new, and you want to rename it, just, you know, rename version underscore old to old. Oh, it's not going to work. Forgot the as. There we go. So hopefully this video has been helpful for you today in learning more about props.conf, transforms, and how we can use that to parse the data so we can start making dashboards and visualizations around this data. If you have any questions, leave it in a comment. Find me at Splunk, and have a good day.